This conference will now be recorded.
So hope my screen is visible. Okay. So today, as a day one, we will be talking about yesterday we have overview. Yesterday we discussed about the overview of cloud testing, and today we will be seeing in detail of the cloud testing. So whatever I have covered yesterday is just an overview. So today mostly it will be a theoretical one, since I'll be covering most of the fundamentals here. Yes, let's go. So introduction to cloud computing, introduction, key characteristics, cloud service models, cloud deployment model, and benefits of cloud computing. So yesterday, if we talk about what is cloud computing, it is something like when we will be having a server, only one server. If it is an on-premises is something we are holding everything. So if one server, and if you are getting client requests from one client or one user, then the performance of the server will be smooth. And imagine if you are getting multiple users logging at the same time during the sale, or if you imagine the Flipkart, the first time when the Flipkart enters, if you can someone remember that they were offering pen drive for 1 rupee, but when we are trying to log in, but the server gets crashed. Okay, we were unable to place an order when they launched that stuff. So it is because this is happening because of multiple users logging into the application at the same time. So the server cannot handle the user. So that is the reason the performance of the server becomes very low. So similar, like if the server can hold only for 100 to 500 users or 1000 users, let's imagine 1000 users, then the server will be only having a capacity of 1000 users. If 2000 users is logging on the same time, then the performance of the server will be very low, and we will not be able to do any performances in the applications. Okay. And for example, imagine you're working in a imagine there is a shop. Let's take an example of a rice shop. Okay, there is one servant is there, and he has to manage all the bags, like the rice bags and all. So if we give 10 kg to him, then he can just pull it and he can carry it. So imagine if you are giving 20 kg to him, then again uh, since he'll be doing, but the performance for the person will be very low. He'll be getting the stuff and he'll be walking slowly and he'll be delivering it. Okay, so imagine if we give 50 kg to him, so he cannot handle, right? So though he can handle, but the performance of the person will be very low. So what we imagine, okay, so since we are getting daily loads of 50 kg, we will hire one person. So then we will split 25 kg to one person and 25 kg to one person. So that time the both will be working. And imagine on a sudden we are not getting 50 kgs, we are again getting 25 kgs of rices only. Then only one server will be running and one person will be ideally sitting. So this is when we are coming into the technical way, this is similar. So when we are having two servers, since the users are more and we are doing all the maintenances stuff for this application, and the users who's accessing the application is getting low, then the one server what we bought is entirely waste of money, and doing the maintenance for them, it's also a cost. The maintenance cost is very high. Okay. And any doubts on this part? What is cloud computing? Hello, someone there?
Can you record this session?
Yeah, I have already recorded.
Okay.
It's already recorded. Okay. So this is again what the cloud computing is offering. So cloud computing is something the cloud partners are having 20 acres or 30 acres of server farms in all over the world. Okay, so if one location is not reachable, or if one location is not able to give our data, then all the servers will be getting all our data will be backed in multiple locations. Okay, we can access the cloud applications in desktop, laptop, mobile, so whatever. And as I said yesterday, um, imagine there is a disaster which is happening in India, and actually I'll let you know the real time scenario. So currently I'm living in Chennai, and one of my friend who worked in near one of my IT company, one of the IT company. Okay, and they were having a server on their ground floor, which means ground floor, and we had a terrible flood on 2015. So in that time, so we had a heavy flood, and the ground floor is completely occupied by the flood. So all the servers have been crashed, all the datas have been crashed. So making it retrieve, it was very difficult at that time. So imagine if those kind of situations happens in a real time. From the consumer perspective, they are more on the data side. So what will happen to my data if something is happened to somewhere? What will happen to my data? So that is where the cloud providers are promising to the consumers, so you don't worry about your data, all these will be placed on a different locations. Okay, and the cloud computing is something that the cloud servers are offering everything virtually, not anything physically. So whatever services they are offering, they will be giving only the virtual. So we just need to go to the, if we take example of the Microsoft Azure, we will be going to the portal.azure.com, and we will be utilizing the services whatever they are offering. So only that way we can use the services. We won't be getting any hardwares from the cloud providers. So apart from this, the cloud providers are also doing something which is very interesting. So if you see, there is a user, let's take an example of a Zomato. Okay, if Zomato is reaching AWS, and AWS is saying, I'm giving you services for a $6. Okay, and Zomato will also look around for the other opportunities, other discounts, what the other cloud services are offering. Okay, so what they will be doing, they will also look the Microsoft Azure. So the Azure says, I'm giving you $5, and if they go to GCP, and the GCP says, I'm giving you $4. So according to the consumer, so you will be choosing only which is very cost effective for us, right? So if you open a Ola or Uber, so we will be checking the price in both the app, since the location is same, since the distance is same, but we will be checking which is showing the less amount. So if Ola is showing a higher amount, and if Uber is showing the lesser amount, obviously we will be choosing the Uber, right? So that is where the cloud services are doing. And what happened on later days, since they are offering the same services, all the cloud services, they come up with a plan, like whatever available in the market, that they will be recreating the same application in their cloud service. Which means if they have SQL, then in Azure, if you see Azure SQL database, so apart from the features which is available in the MySQL, they are also offering the additional features on the Azure SQL. So if you want to opt for the Microsoft Azure, and all your data will be migrated to the Azure SQL, and if you, and all the features, the extra features whatever they are offering, that is also we can utilize that. But if we go outside of the market, we don't find those features what is offering by Azure. in AWS we will be getting a different feature. Okay, so they come up with a plan and they want to recreate whatever available in the market. Then they want to recreate all the applications and they want to have built in their cloud servers. So this is how it is running. And yeah, I hope I made it clear. So any doubt on this part? Just let me know if you want to if you want me to give more additional details on this, else we'll go to the next part. So are we fine?
Can you just slow down your pace because something you're going very fast.
Okay, sure. So okay, sure, I'll go to the next slide and we will see. So yesterday we talked about the cloud service models, and the same thing we will be covering in detail. So on premise, is something that we are not depending on the clouds, anything, nothing. Okay, in the on premise is something that we own all our applications, we own all our data, we all own all our servers. Okay, if you see here the application, whatever application you are launching in the website, that you will be managing the data and the runtime in the sense the monitoring and all, in the middleware, the OS, virtualization, servers, storage, networking. So on premise is something that you own all of your data applications by the company. Okay, and the cloud servers are offering infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, software as a service. So if you see here in the picture, application, data, runtime, middleware, OS. So all these things you will be handling, and the virtualization, server, storage, and these things will be managed by the cloud providers. And if we see platform as a service, only the application, only the data. If you don't want to share your data with the cloud providers, you can go with the platform as a service. And the runtime, middleware, the operating system is something like Windows, Linux, whatever it is, so that they will be offering us, and the virtualization, server, and the storage. So software as a service, so software as a service is the complete application will be handled by the cloud providers. It is purely depend upon the consumers. Now we will see what is infrastructure as a service in detail. So if you see here on a picture, what you are seeing in the picture, can someone just say what we are seeing in the picture? You guys can open up and
Yes,
say.
Tanisha.
So what you're seeing in the picture and what it is referring.
It is
I just
empty. It is empty
empty.
space.
So can we also see that there is a lights on the empty place? Can we also say that it is a networking? So imagine a godown, okay, an empty godown. So if you want to place your things and you need a empty godown to rearrange whatever you want, whatever you like, okay, then you can opt for an empty place. So in the empty place there is an infrastructure, it is there is a lighting, it is there. Lighting is something in the technical we can say it is a networking, okay, and we can just place our things wherever we like. And in the second picture, if you see, there is an empty house. So we have an infrastructure, but all the other stuffs we will be managing it. Okay, that is what infrastructure as a service it refers. So all your downstreams that will be taken care by the cloud providers, and the application data, whatever we saw in the previous one, those will be handled by us. Okay, and if you see the definition, infrastructure as a service is a cloud computing model that provides virtualized computing resource over the internet. It gives user access to the fundamentals IT infrastructure like virtual machines, storage, and networking without owning or managing physical servers. So from yesterday, I'm talking about the virtual machine storage. What is this all about? Okay, so after completing the next slide, I'll just go to the Azure portal and I'll show you what is virtual machine, where it is. Okay, so if you see here, the key features of infrastructure as a service. So compute, which means the virtual machines with customizable OS. So if the consumer wants Windows, then they can opt for Windows, and if the consumer wants the Linux, and they can opt for the Linux, and the CPU and the RAM, how much GB they want. So all these things, it's up to the consumers. And the storage, scalable storage, blob storage is nothing but uh, in Azure we do have an application called like Azure blob storage. So we can store the data, whatever there in the application, we can store the data in the blob storage. And disk file archive, when we are coming to the networking, virtual networks load balancers, VPN is something that a secure connection. Okay, which means if you are giving this cloud applications to your people, who's working in the organization, then they are offering a VPN service as well, which means those who are having access to the VPN, then those people only can access to the application. Okay, and that is also they are being offering. And the security, the firewalls, role based access controls, which means which area which person needs to be accessed, that will be decided by the consumers. So if someone wants to access the database, then we need to enter the resource to whom we need to give access. And if someone wants to access the application, or specific groups wants to access the application, then we can also provide a access to them. So all these things that they are offering. And the scalability is nothing but if an environment, imagine if an environment is having only the 50 GB of capacity, and if we want to go with 80 GB, then that can also be possible in a virtual servers. Okay, and pay as you go. So as I said, so pay as you go model, whatever you are utilizing the applications. For example, in the storage account, you are using only for 100 GB, but the capacity of the storage is 200 GB, then you will be paying only for the 100 GB. Okay, so now let me just open my Microsoft Azure. My screen is visible. Are you able to see my screen? Okay, I think it is not. Okay, hope you are able to see my screen, right?
Tanisha.
Yes. Okay, so this is how the Microsoft Azure looks like. So as I said in the previous slide, virtual machines. What is that virtual machines? We just need to log in to the Microsoft Azure. If you see here, Azure services. If you see here, virtual machines, cost management, storage account, and resource group, subscriptions, Azure DevOps, cost management, quick center. So this is how the virtual machines. So if you click on the virtual machines, we can just create a virtual machine. Okay, so it is just asking. So far I haven't created any. That's the reason. Best for lower traffic. Okay, and if you go to the storage account, so if you see here, I have already created one storage account, and we can also create another one whenever we need. And if you see here, there is a resource group mentioned, which means this storage account who need to access. If you want to give mention specific group, then we need to go to the resource group and we need to create the resources. We need to create a group here and we need to select the region, which area the resources are, and from where they need to access. All these things we will be giving the details here. This is what I'm talking about: virtual machines, storages, and the networking side. If you give more services, if you see here, virtual networks. So all these things we can able to access, and when we choose the infrastructure as a service. Fine. Let me go to this slide. Okay. Is my screen is okay? I think it is. Why it is showing like this? Let me share my entire screen. Better. Fine. Okay. How infrastructure as a service used in real time. So if you see here, the use cases are hosting Windows machines. Virtual machines, run Windows, Linux machines to host website, apps, or custom tools, and backup and disaster recovery, easily replicate on-premise virtual machines or servers to the cloud for failover. And also, if you see here, application testing and the development, and web hosting, and big data and analytics, high performance computing, lift and shift migration, move on-premise legacy apps to cloud VMs without refactoring, and also hybrid cloud scenarios. So if you see in IaaS, these are the real-time scenarios that people will be opting to the IaaS. And we will also see when to use IaaS. So when you need full control over the your operating system, applications, and the configurations. Okay, and you want to migrate an existing app without redesigning it, and you need a quick, flexible dev test environment. So I'm making it very clearly. So that's the reason I'm just going through the stuff, whatever I have, it is there in the PPT. So your workload requires specific infrastructures, example GBU, custom and nested VMs. And if you see here, whatever we saw about the infrastructure, so any doubt on this part, what services can be used, how it is be used? Okay, I'll take it as yes, and I'll move to the next part, platform as a service. So what you can see in this picture, earlier we saw an empty, but what you can see in the picture?
Everything is ready.
Yeah, so can we also say that they have shown us the structure and we just need to place the things? So if you see here, the first part is the same warehouse, but they have also offering where we need to place what. Okay, and in the second picture, if you see, it's an a house with interior designs. So we just need to go and place our items. We don't need to worry about where we need to place. So they have already given a structure, so we just need to go and where we need to place. That is the thing we need to choose. So this platform as a service is a added one when comparing to the infrastructure as a service. Okay, and platform as a service is a cloud computing model that provides a ready to use platform to develop, run, and manage applications. without having to manage infrastructure like server, storage, or networking. It abstracts the hardware and operating system layer so developers can focus on writing coding and building features, not on managing the infrastructure. So as I said earlier, the platform as a service they are offering, all the structures they will be giving to us, and we need to just do where we need to place what we need to place. That's it. And if you see here, key feature of PaaS, app hosting. So app hosting is nothing like we just need to place our all the documents, or what we can say, the files, the application data files, we just need to place in one folder, and the cloud servers will be providing a URL, and if you want we can also modify that URL. And once all these, the resource group and the storage accounts and uh, all these have been set up, then if we just launch that particular URL, we will be getting the URL in our cloud, which means it will be launched in the cloud server. And for this, after completing this slide, I'll just go to the Azure again. So app hosting, built-in dev tools, managed database, scalability, security, multi-language support. So if you see here, whatever files we are uploading, so either it can be a .NET, Java, Python, Node.js, PHP, Ruby, etc. So all these things will be supported by the cloud providers. Okay, if you see app hosting, host web or mobile apps without managing service, built-in dev tools, frameworks, SDKs, CI/CD pipeline, the ID integration, managed database access to SQL, no SQL database, auto scale based on traffic load, and the built-in authentication, role management, and the encryption. So along with IaaS, then they will be offering some other in the PaaS. Now we will go to the Azure. What is that? So this is called app service. So which means if you want to create an app service, web app, currently we are not creating, so all these things we will be creating in our upcoming sessions. So I'm just showing what it is. So again we need to select the resource group, and we need to just fill all these details. And if you see there, they do have multiple areas: database, deployment, networking, monitoring, and secure. So we need to fill all those things when we are going with the app service. So this is what the cloud services providers are offering when we are choosing as PaaS. Okay, and built-in dev tools like frameworks, CI/CD pipelines, as I said. Where is that? Azure DevOps organization. I have already created one organization. So in the upcoming sessions, we will also exploring this, how we can create a new project. For now, I'll just go here. So this is how the Azure DevOps will looks like. And this is my project. So if you see here, the pipelines. So I'm just clicking this. So these things they are offering in the PaaS. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the topic now. Okay, so as I said, the SQL servers and the scalability, if you want to make it more, then we can do also the security and multi-language support. So uses of PaaS. Web app hosting, host full stack apps using service like Azure App Service or Google App Engine. And API development, deploy scalable REST APIs using serverless or web app services. And microservice architecture, build and deploy loosely coupled microservices with managed backends, mobile app backends. Use PaaS to manage authentication, notification, and real-time data sync. And the DevOps and CI/CD, what we saw a minute before. So use tools like Azure DevOps or GitHub Actions integrated into PaaS platforms. And data analytics and AI, train ML models and run analytics without provisioning infrastructure. So event driven applications. Okay, so this is the uses of PaaS. When to use PaaS now? So you want to build and to deploy apps quickly without managing hardware or OS, and you need automated scaling, patching, and backups. So automated scaling is something that what we saw, if 1,000 users are coming, then it should act for 1,000 users, and when 1,500 users are coming, it should also act for 1,500 users. So you need automated scaling, patching, and backups, and you want to integrate CI/CD pipelines and DevOps practices. You are building event driven or API based applications. Okay, these are the terms when we can use the PaaS. Sorry, I just did a spelling mistake. Okay, now we will compare what is IaaS and what is PaaS. So feature infrastructure control for IaaS full, and PaaS it's limited. And OS runtime management. So all these things will be managed by us, and all these things in the past it will be managed by the provider. And app deployment speed. So if you choose infrastructure, then it will be medium, and if you choose platform, then it will be very fast. So ideal for migration and legacy apps, and this is for modern apps, API fast dev cycles. Okay, so this is the comparison of the IaaS and PaaS. Now we will go to the software as a service. So any doubt till this part? Okay, I'll take it as yes. Let's move on to the software as a service. So what you can see in this picture. Are you guys available? Can someone say what you can see in this picture?
House
Yeah.
with all the things.
Okay, can we also say that it is a full furnished house? Then we don't need to worry about what we need to buy, where we need to keep. So all these things have been placed already. We just need to go and we just need to live. That's it. Okay, the similar way. So software as a service is a cloud computing model where complete software applications are delivered over the internet on a subscription or pay as you go basis. Everything infrastructure, platform, and software is managed by the cloud providers. You just access the software through a web browser or app with no installation, maintenance, or server management required. So you don't have any idea about how it is running, where to run, what to run. You have a product and you want to launch it on the website. Okay, instead of going to the some other vendor, and if you just go on a cloud provider, they will be doing all the stuff. You just need to give your data. That's it. So you don't need to worry. You don't need a basic concept of what is OS, what is virtualization, what is servers. You don't need anything. You just pay what they are offering. That's it. Okay. And if you see the key features of SaaS, so the feature is fully managed. No need to manage infrastructure, OS or updates. Accessible anywhere. Use via browser from any device with internet. And scalable. Easily scale up or down based on user demand. Multi-tenant architecture. Shared resource with strong data isolation. And next is automatic updates. New features and patches are deployed by the provider. So as I said, all the stuffs will be development and testing. All these things will be done by the providers itself. And the same pay as you go. So how many users are logging into your application, how many users are accessing the application, only for that you will be paying. Okay, uses of SaaS. So the use cases are email and communication. Services like Outlook 365, Gmail or Slack offer cloud-based communication tools. Collaboration tools, Microsoft Teams and Google Workspace, Zoom, Trello enable team collaboration. And CRM, ERP and project management, HR and payroll, finance and accounting, e-learning and LMS, file storage and backup. So all these things will come under SaaS. Okay, and we'll go to the next slide. So when to use SaaS. So small or large businesses who want ready to use software without IT overhead and fast deployment with minimal configurations, teams that require collaborations, remote access and automatic scaling. So these and all come under SaaS. And not suitable. When it is not suitable, you need deep customization. And if you want to do any customization deeply, then the SaaS is it's quite difficult, and you need control over infrastructure or OS or database. So the SaaS is managed by the providers, right? So again, you cannot just modify the infrastructure, OS or database. You can request them, but you cannot manage it. And the compliance requires strict data residency or isolation. So comes under the data breaching. So there is a chance that since they are handling all the data, then there is a chance that comes with data breaching, right? So that is also a risk in the SaaS. Now let's compare IaaS, PaaS and SaaS. So user responsibility for the feature, and if it is IaaS, operating system, app, data, and the PaaS it is app and the data, and SaaS only data. So you just need to give only the data, and you don't need to worry about anything. Okay, the maintenance. If it is an infrastructure, then you will be maintaining it, all the other stuff, and the PaaS it will be shared, and the SaaS it will be the provider. And the use cases what we saw: virtual machines, custom apps. And the PaaS we already saw what is app service. So app hosting and the APIs, ready-made tools, example Jira, Gmail, something. So example, we can say Azure VM, and for PaaS, Azure App Services, and SaaS, it is Office 365. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. So this is something called cloud deployment models. Yesterday we talked about the public cloud, private cloud, and the community cloud. So all these things we will be looking into detail in this part. Okay, so I'll just go walk through this. A public cloud is a cloud computing model where computing service like servers, storage, networking, database are offered by third-party providers over the internet and are available to anyone who wants to use or purchase them. So you don't own or manage any physical infrastructure. Okay, the cloud provider owns the data centers and you rent resources on demand. So the best example is, as I said yesterday, the Netflix. So Netflix is a public cloud, and when people are logging into the application like Netflix, and if they watch the videos or the movies, and the Netflix will be paying to the cloud servers what how much users have accessed the applications. Okay, and the Dropbox, so the similar way, not every time everyone will be using the Dropbox, since when it is on demand, people will be using the Dropbox. And the Gmail, similar way, we will be getting all the emails, and whatever emails, whatever load we are having, that will be paid. And apart from this, so if you see in the public cloud, we also talk about that buses, right? If you imagine, so if you think about that public cloud, they will be sharing the servers to multiple consumers. It is not that only one server will be utilized to one consumer. They will be sharing the one server to multiple clients. So if the server can hold 1000 GB, and if one consumer is using 100 GB, then all those 900 GB is getting wasted. So when we are opting for public cloud, it is also cost effective, but it will also be shared with multiple consumers. Okay, and we see the key features of public cloud. So multi-tenant, so as I said, multiple customers share the same physical resource with isolation and pay as you go, and highly scalable and accessible globally. Services are available via internet from any location and maintenance free. So providers handle updates, patching, security, and uptime. So all these things will be managed by the providers. So now we will see when to use the public cloud. So imagine if you are going to do a startup and a small business and that want to avoid high upfront cost. So you are a startup and you don't need to spend much time on the infrastructure, and you don't need to buy some stuffs. You don't need to spend more on the investment of the infrastructure. Then those people can opt for the public cloud. And enterprise needing to scale quickly without building data centers, and temporary workloads, like as we already see, dev test environments, global services needing low latency access across regions. So which means we can, the people who's accessing our applications, they can access globally. So that is the reason we are opting for the public cloud. Okay, real world challenges or not to use. So strict security regularity needs, so which means the banks and the defense team, they should not opt for public cloud, because it's one server is being shared to multiple tenants, right? So definitely they won't be opting for a public cloud. They opt for a private cloud, so may prefer a private or hybrid cloud. And the finance company may avoid public cloud because they need to keep data on premises for regularity reasons. And also a startup might see low initial costs but high bills later due to underused or misconfigured resources. So as I said, in the first we see, if a startup, they don't want to spend much on the investment, but they also, people are using very less on the application, but the billing cost is very high. Okay, so in that time, these are the real world challenges that is showing when we are getting the public cloud. Okay, disadvantages of public cloud. So if you see, limited control, you don't have access to the physical hardware or infrastructure. So since all these things we will be managing virtually, you rely on the provider for availability, updates, and the configurations. And the security and privacy concerns, since the infrastructure is shared multi-tenant, there is a potential risk of data leakage or misconfigurations. Some industries like banking, healthcare have strict security policies. And the compliance issues, which we already saw, we need to make sure that the cloud providers are following the regularity standards and all. And the performance variability, shared infrastructure can lead to performance inconsistency. So for what is performance variability? So since the 1000 GB is shared with multiple tenants, for one of the tenant it is having high demand on the applications, and one of the tenant is having low demand, though it is scalable, but since it is being shared with one particular server, then it is also a risk. It's also a disadvantage for the tenant. Okay, and the cost can escalate. So though pay as you go is attractive, long term use or poor cost management, like idle VMs. So we created a virtual machines, but we didn't use anything. Okay, so that is also become a cost for a company, can lead to high or unexpected bills. So these are the disadvantages of when we are opting for a public cloud. Okay, okay, sorry, vendor lock-in. And as I said yesterday, so migrating from one cloud to another cloud, so it is not an easy job. The migration takes minimum 6 months and the maximum 2 years. It depends on the data, how much the company is holding. Okay, so that is also very difficult from moving from one place to another. And internet dependency, public cloud service rely on internet connectivity. Any network issues can directly impact application availability. And the customization limited. Okay, just showing. Okay, and let me go to the next one. So any doubt on this public cloud? When to opt? Fine, I'll take it as yes. Let me go to the private cloud. Okay, so private cloud is something the servers will be only given to us, not it will not be shared to any of the tenants. So let's just go to the definition. A private cloud is a cloud computing environment where all resources, servers, storage, and the networking are exclusively used by one organization. Unlike public cloud, it's not shared with other users and can be hosted. So on premise in your own data center, or off premise hosted by a third party but isolated for your use. So whether you want to place in your company or whether the virtual the servers, and if it is an on premise hosted by a third party but isolated for your use. So it offers the benefits of cloud computing like scalability and self-service while keeping greater control over security, compliance, and customization. So since the server is solely given to you, and you'll be having more scalability, like all the 1000 GBs you will only be using that all the 1000 GBs. You don't need to share with anyone. So definitely bank and healthcare and the government will be opting the private cloud since they will be handling more secure data. Okay, let's go to the advantages and disadvantages of private cloud. So advantages, though we say it is high security and the privacy data stays within a dedicated infrastructure, ideal for sensitive workloads. And the disadvantages, if you see here, high initial cost requires large upfront investment in hardware, software, and the skilled staff. And if you see in the second one, the advantage, greater control and the customization, full control over network, storage, operating system, and the apps. So you will be owning all the controls when you opt for a private cloud. And the regularity, compliance, performance consistency, support legacy systems, and the customization. And if you go to the disadvantage, it's limited scalability and complex maintenance, and requires skilled IT team to manage. Cloud needs expertise in networking and virtualization security, longer time to deploy, and it is also a underutilization risk. Low usage of a resource can lead to wasted capacity and a higher cost per unit. Okay, so these are the advantages and disadvantages when we are opting for the private cloud. So since you're occupying the whole server, right, then obviously your billing also will be high. Okay, let's compare now public versus private cloud. So the feature is, when it comes to ownership, public cloud will be managed by the cloud provider, and the private cloud, your organization or the third party but dedicated. And multi-tenancy, it is shared, single tenant. So the server will be shared, and when it comes to private, it will be a single tenant. And the control over public cloud is very limited, and control over private cloud, it is a full control. Security, good, but shared infrastructure. Security is high, dedicated infrastructure. Scalability very high, limited to hardware. So, and if we say limited to hardware, only 1000 GBs you can use, and apart if you want go for more than 1000 GB, then limited to hardware. It will just hold whatever the hardware can, and the cost pay as you go. And the private cloud, it is high upfront and lower long term. The customization, it is highly customizable, and when comes to public, it is very low. Now let's go to the hybrid cloud. So since the private cloud is also very cost, since we are owning all the stuff, and we can also opt for a hybrid cloud. For something we can make it as a secured area, and for some applications or some data we can place it on the public cloud. So that is also an option that they are giving, the cloud providers are giving to us. So if you want to hold this sensitive data, then you can go for some data in the private cloud and some data in the public cloud. So since it will also reduce your cost effective, so that is the reason that they are offering the hybrid cloud. So now we will go to the definition. A hybrid cloud is a cloud computing environment that combines both public cloud and private cloud or on-premises infrastructure, allowing data and applications to move between them seamlessly. It gives organization the flexibility to run workloads in most appropriate environment. For example, keeping sensitive data in a private cloud and running scalable applications in a public cloud. So that is the advantages of hybrid cloud. We will see private versus hybrid. Infrastructure ownership in the private cloud, fully owned or leased by the organization. And hybrid cloud, combination, part private owned, leased, or part public. And deployment flexibility, limited to internal infrastructure or private hosted services. And if it is in hybrid cloud, it is high flexibility. And scalability, limited to available physical. And hybrid cloud, it is highly scalable. And the security is very high in the private, and hybrid cloud, it is also high since critical data stays in the private while less sensitive tasks use public cloud. And cost, higher initial setup and operational cost. And when we are choosing the hybrid, then it is optimized cost. Public clouds use for variable workloads and reducing infrastructure expenses. So maintenance responsibility, fully managed by internal or contracted IT team. And hybrid cloud, it is shared, private side by the organization, public side by the cloud provider. And internet dependency for private and public cloud. Okay, now we will go to the community cloud. So as I said yesterday, the community cloud will be only shared only to the specific groups. So if an organization is having 5 branches, then those only to those 5 branches that the cloud will be shared, not apart from that, only to the limited user groups. If it is having 2 branches, then it will be accessed only with the 2 groups. So a community cloud is a shared cloud infrastructure that is used by a specific group of organizations with common goals, security needs, policies, or compliance requirements. So unlike a public cloud open to everyone or a private cloud, used by one organization, a community cloud is exclusively to a group of users such as government agencies, banks, or universities, and may be managed internally or by a third party. So community cloud is something that they will be using only for the specific groups or small groups. Okay, now we will see all the cloud deployment models. So users on a public cloud open to all. When it comes to private, one organization, communities, group with shared goals, and hybrid combination of public and private. The cost when it comes to the public, it is very low, and when it comes to the private, it is high, and communities shared among members, and hybrid cloud is variable, and security standard and private is high, and community cloud it is high. Since shared policies only to specific groups it will be accessed, and it depends on the setup how they are doing in a hybrid cloud. So customization limited, high, moderate to high, and high. And control for the public cloud is minimal, private cloud it is full, and for the community cloud it is shared, and hybrid cloud it is also shared. Okay, we just came at the end of the session today. So whatever we saw today is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Apart from that, the cloud also offering like AI as a service, testing as a service. So there are some different kinds of services as well, but those three are the main part. And we also talk about the deployment models, whether you want to opt for a public, whether you want to opt for a private or a community or a hybrid cloud. So cloud computing is a revolutionary model that has reshaped the way businesses and individuals consume computing resources. Understanding its structure, deployment models, benefits, and challenges provides a solid foundation for deeper exploration into cloud-based applications and testing practices. So with this, I'll just close today's session. Let me open up for the questions.
Yes, Tanisha.
Yeah.
So, yeah, can you show us once?
Yeah, yeah, we discussed, right? 1 second. Okay. It is not opening. Okay. Mm. Okay, I'm just sharing this. So if you see here, I have just taken yesterday itself. I should have shown this one. Sorry about that. So these are some of the jobs that you can apply when you are opting for a SQL. And if you see here, the SQL data tester similar to this, and you can also opt for a functional testing. And if you see here, the design develop automated SQL test cases to validate the data, and ETL testing primarily using SIS, which we're gonna explore, and other Microsoft BI tools. And also if you see here, they are also saying about the CI/CD pipelines, which we will be covering in the upcoming sessions. And similar to this, I have also chosen the functional tester as well, since we are also covering the software testing models, methods, and those things. So you can opt for a functional tester, or you can go with the SQL part as well. Okay, so these are the similar kinds of jobs that you can go once you are completing this course.
But you
Mm.
like can we search like cloud testing like?
See, cloud testing, it is actually a method,
Okay.
but what are, the skills will be same, but the environment, it is different. Okay,
Okay, got
so instead of checking in the web application, you will be checking in the cloud applications. So as I said, the cloud providers are offering us the application as well, right? So
yes.
we can also, since we are also utilizing the Azure DevOps. So in early days when I worked with my previous company, so we were doing the test cases and test scenarios in Excel sheet. We will just go to Jira and we will just upload the Excel sheet. But what the providers are offering, we can just go and use the DevOps, and we can create a test case there, and we can also monitor who created the test case, who modified the test case, and what uh, the CI/CD pipeline, right? In which deployment model this has been deployed. So all those things that will be tracked in the Azure DevOps. So these are the kinds that they are offering us. But your primary skill will be the same, but
Mm-hmm.
the skill, it is an added advantage for you. Okay, it is an additional skill. How you need to know how to use it, right? So that
Yes.
is
So
that is
that
what
means
we are
that, that means that the application is deployed in the cloud and we are testing that application.
Yes, you are testing the application along with the
Mm.
cloud services that they are offering. So
Okay,
if you go
got
to
it.
AWS, then they will be having a separate test plans, test artifacts, all these things. Okay, and
Okay.
we can also go for, if you want to go with the automation one, and the cloud providers are also offering, whenever you are changing the code, the testing will happen. You don't need to do manually. So whenever you are changing the code and you are pushing into the branch and main branch, then automatically your testing will happen. So these are the things, stuffs they are offering us, and we need to know how to utilize that. Okay,
But how the manual testing will happen? Suppose if there is any change in the cloud.
that we will be covering. Obviously, we will be covering when we are having in the functional testing topic.
Okay.
So that part I'll be covering with the Azure DevOps. Okay.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anything
thank you so
else?
much.
Let me stop sharing. So, any questions? Anything to me? Okay, then. Thank you so much for your time. So, we'll see tomorrow's for the day 2 session. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.